All right, so it should be live.
Cool.
All right, so just tell me about you.
About me?
Yeah, who you are, about your channel.
My name is Nugz. I'm legally married to Gunner. Hopefully not for much longer. Should have been divorced a long motherfucking time ago. But, although I told him to do that shit, because really that should be his responsibility. And we all know he has the funds to do so. For some reason, he chose not to. Think that it's just been a game of divorced chicken or something. Let's see who does it first type thing. You know, I just personally felt like, if I'm not the reason for it, failing, I'm not the one who walked out. I'm not the one who, did all that, then I shouldn't be the one to fill out the papers and pay and file and do all that shit. That's your deal,
Yeah.
And obviously, like, I've been married and divorced several times, and each time, it wasn't my fault. And each time I filled out the fucking paperwork and paid for it and did all that. So this time I just didn't really give a shit because I was like, I could care less one way or another, but that should be on you. I'm not going to fucking do it. But now I'm just at the point where I could give a shit less, and I'm just fucking tired of it. So, and personally, if he dies while I'm legally married to him and I'm responsible for his fucking ashes, they're going in the toilet and I'm going to shit on them fuckers. But
yeah. So how did you meet him?
On a dating site, that I wasn't intentionally actually on. I was just looking for an old friend, and I had a whole catfish profile. It was just a random picture off Google under a name that somebody's been using to catfish as me for like the last 7 years on a different app. And I didn't even have any information on there, nothing, because I was just scrolling through looking for an old friend that used to be on there, who had moved across the country, and ran across his picture. And I seen it and I just liked it. I didn't really expect anything to come of it, or did I want to, because I wasn't really trying to see anybody. And then it said that we matched or whatever, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't really expect that to fucking happen, so I should probably say something. And so, I had messaged and I said, look, I wasn't really trying to look for anybody. Like, this is the whole catfish profile. It's not even me. Like, this is the real reason that I was on here, and this is really me. And then he was like, even better. And then we just started talking from there.
So what dating website was it on?
It was called Badoo. Badoo. Which is crazy because, supposedly at the time he was in a relationship with his youngest daughter's mom. So I don't even know why the fuck he was on there in the first place, if they were in a relationship at the time. But I didn't find that out, of course, until, way later down the line.
Okay. So how was your relationship with him?
In the beginning, it was great, it was too good to be true, actually, and a lot of people told me, my best friend told me, even my oldest son was like, it's great, but it seems too good to be true. Everybody was just like, it seems way too good to be true. And it turned out to be too good to be true, but it was great for that first 3 weeks. However, it started off with lies and turned out to just be more and more and more lies on top of lies on top of lies,
So the
Loading. Must be struggling with his Wi-Fi. It says loading. Are you there? Just off the camera. There you go. You're back.
Yeah, sorry about that. My charger unplugged on me.
Oh, thought maybe like because you came back in a different area. I thought maybe it was like the location that you were in the house or something, you know?
No, I'm gonna go right back to it right now. All right. Let's see. Go to this one. Can you hear me still?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All
Can't
right.
see you. I can hear you.
All right. I'm gonna get to it right now. I'm trying to figure out what happened. Now I went to plug in the charger because the laptop was showing as dead, and it was unplugged. It ended up unplugged. There we go. All right. So you said it was too good to be true?
Yeah, for sure.
So on camera and off camera, is he the same person or a whole different character?
I would say personality wise, from my personal experience, personality wise, pretty much the same character, kind of goofy, kind of fun, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. But, he's definitely pretty fucking fake, just all the way around, all the way around, just a bullshitter, entertaining on and off camera, but fake as fuck.
So the time you were with him, did you guys go out places or was it always just like
we went we didn't really go out places. We went out to like this burrito place a lot and got burritos, we would go grab food or something like that. We went to a friend's house one time just to pick up some shoes or drop some shoes off or something like that, but we didn't really go out and do much. Kind of just hung out at home.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of just hung out at home with the kids and stuff. He worked a lot, so when he came home from work, we just kicked it. We didn't really do a whole lot. I'm a homebody. I don't really like going out and doing a whole lot anyway.
Yeah. So was it when you guys were together, weren't you guys living at his parents for a while?
No, I never met any of his family in person.
Oh, okay.
He showed his mom a picture of me one time and that's it, but I never met any of his family. I spoke to his sisters a couple of times via like Facebook Messenger. And even when I moved back here to Utah, I had some communication with one of his sisters for a little while. But I never met any of his family in person at all.
Yeah.
Never spoke to his mom a single word or anything like that. I had my own place. It was like a housing situation, and he just moved in with me like a week after we met. He was living with his mom originally, and a week after we met, he moved in with me.
Okay. So he never the whole time
his daughter and him were both living at his mom's. He moved in with me, but his mom would not let him take his daughter, so he was just going to see her at his mom's house.
Okay, yeah, that's what I had heard before too. Yeah, because whenever we would talk to her, it was always through the mom. But anyway,
yeah, she said so. He met me. he showed her a picture of me supposedly, and again, this is just out of his mouth, so who knows what's true and what's not. But out of his mouth, he showed her a picture of me. He said, I met a girl. She said, oh, she's pretty, blah, blah. Didn't really pay much attention to it. And then about a week later, he said, I'm moving out. I'm moving in with my girl. And she said, well, you can move out, but you're not taking her because this is her home. This is where she lives. You don't even know this girl, blah, blah, blah. And she said, but you're going to come see her every single day. So he moved out and he was going to see her every day. But then, COVID got real crazy and stuff. And he was a mandatory worker. So she stopped letting him come to see her and said that he could only see her over the phone, video call, talk to her on the phone.
But you guys got married pretty quick though, huh?
3 weeks after we met. That was not intentionally the plan. There was a wedding date picked out. But the way that COVID was happening and the lockdown and all that stuff, he kept insisting that we get married right away. He said if we got COVID, they'd separate us. We needed to get married right now. He wanted to fly to Vegas. I said no, I think we should just wait and do it the right way. And he just kept insisting we need to do it now because the lockdown's happening, etc. So I finally just said, fuck it, let's do it right now.
Oh, that's crazy. Man. So, what was I going to ask you? Oh, so when you guys were together, did he ever get physical with you?
Just the one time.
Oh, okay.
Just the one time when, he was saying some weird off the wall random shit. I had no idea where it was coming from. Didn't even quite understand what he was saying. And so I just honestly asked him if he was using meth because, I was married to somebody for 4 years that used meth and would say random weird shit. So I just honestly asked him if he was using meth and he just hit me really hard. And I started crying because I was in shock and I was like, you just hit me. And then he was like, oh my God. And he started crying and he was like, my mom was right. You're going to be the reason that I go back to prison, so on and so forth. And he's like, my kids, my babies, please don't call the cops, my babies, you're going to call the cops on me. And I don't know. I thought about his kids. I thought about my kids and I didn't call the cops,
Yeah. Scare tactic.
Yeah.
More scared to go to jail than
it wasn't so much that I didn't call because of him. It was more so that I was thinking that, I've been in domestic violence relationships before and stuff. And I was thinking about the fact that, he was there and my kids were in the house and stuff like that. I didn't want to lose my kids over it, and I was thinking about his kids. And so that's why I didn't call the police. It didn't have nothing to do with, me giving a fuck about what happened to him because I was pissed off that he just punched me,
Okay.
I was thinking more about the children, to be honest.
Yeah, that's good too, though. So don't you have your own channel too on YouTube?
Yeah, I just started a channel on YouTube. I'm hoping that it'll pick up. I am a single mom with a lot of kids at home. And, with that comes a lot of responsibility. I have some kids who have some struggles of their own, mental health issues and things like that. From my own mental health issues and things, because I've had a rough life and history myself. And that is... makes it difficult to keep up on, making videos and shorts and stuff like that, because that stuff can be time consuming. But I'm working on it. And, obviously paying bills, all that stuff, doing everything on your own can be very time consuming.
Yeah.
And then my plan for the YouTube channel is just basing it on very serious topics for the most part and issues surrounding experiences that I've had throughout my life, because I've experienced a lot of things that.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you a few questions like that. Some of the commenters were asking.
Mm-hmm.
Frankie Rodriguez, he was saying, Did Gunner ever tell you he was NF?
He did actually. When I first got with him, so I had an ex that was shot and killed at a big tone rap concert. Gunner actually did a profile video on him, which, you know, is great because he deserved to have, you know, a video put out about him. However, it's not great that Gunner was the one who put the video out on him because also he did not have all the facts accurate. The facts that he did have, I'm assuming, probably came from somebody that my ex did know, maybe a family member of his that possibly did not know that Gunner was in fact my ex. Otherwise, they may not have spoke to him in the first place. But anyways,
doesn't Gunner have a Playboy tattoo on him?
I did not see that. But
Who never said that he was a Northern Rider?
No, never said anything like that. That picture where he's holding up a bunny and stuff, it was actually an Easter picture, using Snapchat filters and stuff, you know, that had bunnies. But anyways, that the death of that ex was really hard on me. And so when I met Gunner, he claimed that he knew that person, which he absolutely did not know. I think that was just a way to get me. And you know, I had asked him if he was a Northerner. He said yes. I asked him if he was a Norteño. He said no, that he was actually NF. And I asked him what that was. He said it was Nuestra Familia and explained to me what that was. And so that's when he claimed that he was NF. I later found out that obviously that's not the case.
So that's why he'd be glorifying them in all of his videos and stuff.
And it also turned out that, you know, he didn't even know that ex of mine that he claimed to know. And when he made that video of him, he said, oh, you know, I knew this girl once and she was with this dude and I know this to be a fact. And he was describing me and he said, you know, I'm not going to say who she was. And he claimed that he's seen all these pictures of us together, which isn't true because there's no pictures of us together for
part of drugged out paranoia.
No, no. Because we had pictures of us taken together, but they were on a disposable camera that was in the trunk of a rental car that I had. And then I ended up in the hospital and my grandpa took the rental car back and the camera was in the trunk of the rental car. So there was no pictures. So Gunner saying that there was pictures that he's seen of me and my ex together that died is bullshit. He's like literally lying out his ass.
So did he ever tell you any of his like prison experiences or where he was at in
he told me that when he was 9 years old, he unalived his stepfather for beating the crap out of his mom. And he got away with it because they just seen him as a scared 9-year-old boy. And then when he was 11 years old, was when he went on that little excursion and cut off that dude's junk and put it in his mouth, blah, blah. And that's what he spent all his time in prison for years and years and years. And that he was by himself for the most of the time that he was in prison, and that his mom wasn't there for him at all. Nobody was there for him. He didn't even know where his mom was most of the time while he was in prison. She never wrote him or sent him anything or did anything.
So did he ever tell you any of the stories about being in there like he'd be putting in these videos?
No. Nothing like that. And a year ago when I was helping Triple OG after he found me on Facebook, and then I ran into him on Instagram after finding out that because he had messaged me on Facebook Messenger saying, you know, does Gunner really have 11 inches like he's telling everybody on YouTube? And I didn't know who that was or what the hell was going on. I was like, who is this person? What's going on? You know, I hadn't heard anything for years. And that's
co-signed it for him, so
automatically just disappeared. And then I went on my Instagram and I had this friend request from somebody, and I'm like, "Who's this person?" So I look, and you know, it says they have a YouTube channel. So I click on it, and then I realized that he had screen recorded that conversation and posted it, and I just started laughing. I couldn't believe it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is funny." So then I messaged him and I was like, "You want some help?" You know, I was like, "I'll help you out." I was like, "I'll give you all the screenshots and everything you want," you know. And so when I started helping him, you know, was when Gunner and Dubs were hanging out with Cowboy, the dude that supposedly held Nipsey Hussle in his arms while he died, blah, blah, blah. And they were using Cowboy to supposedly try to make a bunch of money. And Cowboy was a sex offender. So I went to some friends that I have on a different platform and had them pull Cowboy's paperwork, which showed that he, in fact, didn't do what he was claiming he did, which was grab a girl's necklace. It actually happened to be a girl that was 14 years old or under on the paperwork, and who was detained and for sexual gratification. So I had that paperwork pulled, gave it to Triple OG, who then posted it, et cetera, et cetera. Later on, I then had Gunner's paperwork pulled that just showed that he was a 2-time snitch, which was actually a shock to me as well at the time, because I was like, whoa, I never even seen that before, you know? So it was quite interesting.
Okay.
I was learning myself.
I got a call the other day. I was inside and my phone rang and I answered. I was like, hello. And somebody was like, hey, Brandon. I was like, yeah, who's this? Because I didn't know the number.
Mm-hmm.
And the dude started introducing himself. And he said that he was one of Gunner's inner circles. And he said that like Gunner would fly down or whatever. And they'd gone out to Frisco. It was like, I think like 5 or 6 of them. They went out to Frisco to Mission Street to some little hamburger place. And they go in there, and it was like 5 of them, all of them over 200 pounds. And they ordered their food, and 2 Northerners walked in. And I guess they had glanced that way because it was a group of people. And they glanced that way and seen him, but I don't think they had recognized him, but he had seen people like look his way, and he got all paranoid and took off running out of there. He didn't even need his food. He didn't even need his food because the dude that was telling me, he's like, yeah, he went running out. He didn't even need his food. I ended up eating his burger and his fries. So the dude would hit him up after, like, hey, why'd you go running off? And he said that he was buzzing and on coke. So with your time together, did he ever act paranoid like that when you guys were around together?
We didn't, like I said, we didn't really go places a lot, you know? So yeah. I don't think I really seen a lot of that other than, you know, and he didn't want his mom to find out that he was still stinking around and seeing me after he had moved to his mom's backyard.
That's so she pretty much controls his little life.
Yeah, which I really didn't understand because...
Yeah, because he's grown.
Like you're 42 years old, you know, why do you have to sneak around like that? And if she was never there for you all those years that you were in prison, why are you such a mama's boy?
Well, yeah, that's because he was paranoid to go anywhere, though.
And I've seen and been with mama's boys in my life, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I had never seen something to that extent. Like that's a bit much.
So were you around at the time when his stepdad had pulled the shotgun on him?
I wasn't there. I was around at the time, yes. You know, he had actually came home and told me, because I never went with him to try to get his daughter. I never, you know, wanted the extra drama and figured that as much as they hated the fact that, you know, he was with me in the first place, even though they never met me trying to go to their house would just
somebody moving into mama's space.
Yeah, so I never tried to even go there, you know, but he had gone there and he had just came home and told me what had happened. And, you know, I was the world's biggest daddy's girl. You know, my dad was everything to me. And so when I heard that, I was just thinking to myself, like, are you serious? Like, I used to have nightmares of, you know, my dad getting hurt. So I was just thinking, like, I could only imagine, you know, her seeing that, you know, with him being her dad, like how that must have made her feel, you know, or how scared she must have been witnessing that, you know, right in front of her face.
Oh, here was another question I wanted to ask. So a while back, he had mentioned going to jail in Stockton. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know anything about that.
What about prison time in Oregon?
As far as I know, he's never been in prison in Oregon unless, you know, he's been to prison since since I was with him. But, you know, as far as I know, he hasn't been to prison since, you know, since way before I met him, since California. So,
Yeah.
because, you know, when he punched me that one time, that was his fear, was that I was going to call the police and he was going to go back.
Yeah, cause I was asking because I seen like I think it was a short or something, and he had posted himself like standing outside of the jail fence at French camp, I think it was.
Probably just for appearances, you know.
Yeah,
to look
trying to act like he just got out of jail.
I know that he had been in the hospital.
Does he really have diabetes?
No.
Or is that just one of his like the little drug things that got him paranoid? He went to the hospital.
Yeah. And I know that there was a time when, and this was long after, you know, we split, but he had messaged me, telling me that YouTube people were after him. They were going to kill him. You know, he was freaking out at that point in time.
That's crazy. Some people shouldn't do drugs. Well, really, nobody should, but especially him.
Yeah, I mean, nobody. Some people should. Nobody should. Nobody should. Some people are definitely way worse, you know.
Yeah. So, somebody had asked, was there any good qualities of him besides?
Yeah. You know, like I said, he can be entertaining. He can be funny. You know.
Yeah, you can tell very good.
He was, you know, during the time that I was with him, of course, you know, because I wasn't with him for very long, so I don't know how he would have been long term. But during the time that I was with him, he was really good with my kids. My youngest son specifically, you know, really loved him. He was a great cook. You know, he cooked some bomb ass burritos. I definitely stole his salsa recipe because I knew that, you know, I could live without him, but I couldn't live without that salsa. That's for damn sure. So, you know, after we split, I was like, look, I need to learn that salsa recipe because if I get nothing out of this, I'm at least getting that out of it, you know. So he was a good cook. You know, yeah, I don't know. I mean,
he's a
like
good cook.
you know, there was some good qualities, you know, but you know, I guess we all got our good and we all got our not so good. And, you know, I mean, everybody here, of course, can visibly see his not so good.
Here's one somebody else asked. They said, so from the time that you met him, besides him living at his mom with his daughter, did he ever live with her anywhere else? Or was she always at her mom's?
So, you know, when I met him, he lived with his mom. And then he lived with me short term for like a few months, moved back in with his mom, in the backyard anyways, not with his mom. Then he moved in with his sister. He moved in with his sister for a while. I think he moved in with his other sister and brother-in-law for a little bit. And yeah, that's what I remember.
So he never really like had his own place with her, like taking care of her on his own.
No,
always at mom's house.
No, yeah, she lived with his mom after he moved in with me, and then she was with us for just a couple of days, and then she was staying with his sister for a little while. And then, you know, when he was staying with his sister, she was there with him. And then eventually, I believe she was back with his mom, you know, as long as I knew.
Yeah.
She was never in his own place with him ever.
Corco Door Security respects you all out there in Watson. This is the runner's wife. Oh, currently wife, trying to get a divorce.
Legal wife, separated for over 3 years.
Yeah.
The end of 2020 or middle of 2020, somewhere around there.
Yeah, he's just been holding you hostage ever since.
Just refusing to file the paperwork, but that's okay. I'll handle that shit.
Somebody said, was the salsa jalapeno or habanero?
The salsa, it was actually jalapeno. Yeah.
Frankie Rodriguez said the runner is watching punching the air.
Actually, I highly, I mean, he could be watching on a different account or whatever, but he would never admit it for sure. And he, ever since, like, I've watched bits and pieces of his videos here and there just to see what kind of bullshit he's spewing. Occasionally I would make a comment or something. I had never gotten kicked out of his lives or blocked or anything. My comments and stuff just always got automatically deleted. Never would he comment on any of my comments or even acknowledge my existence, because his mom did not want him married to a white girl with tattoos on her face. He came on to be YouTube famous supporting La Raza without anybody knowing that he's legally married to a white girl, and so he would not like La Raza to know that he likes white girls.
I still can't get over the fact of him.
So he refuses to acknowledge existence in general. He recently commented on one comment that I made, and that's about it.
So Frankie Rodriguez, he said, "Why does Gunner beat on women though? I thought he was so gangster."
Yeah.
Well, doesn't the runner only have one nut?
Yes. And
well, that's why he beats on women. Then his nuts haven't dropped. He's still waiting for one to drop.
He was born with one. His entire life. And the funny thing about that is I swore to him I would never say anything to anybody. And I'm not even really trying to talk about this, but it's kind of a fluke that it actually came out. One night I just happened to venture there, and he said, no, I don't want you to touch me. And I was like, what? And he's like, I've never let anybody do that. And I said, why? And he said, because he told me why. And he said that he had never told anybody that before, that nobody ever knew that, and to never tell anybody that. But yeah, he was just born that way.
Frankie Rodriguez, he said, Andy has a small wee-wee, so it's not 11 inches like Dubs tries to co-sign?
No, 5.
5 on a lucky.
I think Dubs is maybe wishing that it was 11 because Dubs is not happy with 5. I don't know.
Oh, man. Let me see. He said, don't touch me, I'm shy. Man.
Another thing that he was very self-conscious about is the fact that he did state that he was shot in the back of the head at some point, and he hated taking off his hat. He did not.
Were there any marks on the back of his head? Any scars or anything though? That would be bullet wounds.
I never paid too close of attention, but he did not like having his hat off. He said that he did not want me staring at his head.
Okay.
Very self-conscious about that. But I have seen him here, on this YouTube channel with his hat off or, with bald pictures. So he must not be so shy anymore.
So did he ever tell you what that big scar on his head was from?
He told me he was shot in his head.
Okay. That's crazy because I don't know. A 45 that close, that's a knock a hole through.
I wouldn't know nothing about that.
45 is a big gun for somebody to be shot in the head from the story that he said.
Even if it's a true story that he was shot in the head, I'm sure he over exaggerated.
Oh yeah, just like everything else.
Sound way cooler.
Yeah. So do you think that most of his stories are real life stories, or you think it's just shit that he sits back and makes up for the money?
I think that some of them are real life stories, but just exaggerated to sound cooler, with a little added this and a little added that, maybe take a little of this out and a little add this here. And then some of them are just, for entertainment purposes only. And, a lot of YouTube subscribers are just in it for the entertainment anyways. So it seems to.
Yeah, that's true.
Obviously.
And he's good at telling stories.
Mm-hmm. He's a great storyteller.
Well, you think so? Probably it'd be safe to say that some of the stories he tells is ones that he hears from other people and his runs with.
Oh yeah. Yeah, probably. I know that when he was living with me, he spent a whole lot of time either laying in bed or sitting in the recliner just watching these channels on YouTube like he was studying, you know? Like like he was in school just studying. That's what he would do. He'd just lay there and watch these channels.
Did he ever mention names or anything to you about fights or anything like that? He never told you like nothing about stuff like that?
No.
So he kept his whole like little YouTube stories all to himself.
Yeah. Yeah. He just watched these channels, and I would ask him why he would watch these channels all the time, and he just said it interested in him. I think he was studying so he could one day, be like them.
So does he really make the money that he claims he does?
I don't really know. I know that when I was with him, he was working a job where he was a heat treater, and he stated that he invented sway bars for semi trucks, and he was the only person.
He invented them, or he made them.
He made them, but he said he was the only person in the country that could make them because he invented them and patented the idea. So he said he made $15,000 a month at that time, but he never paid a single bill or anything. Yeah. He did, however, buy bunk beds and some bedding for our daughter.
Did he ever give his mom money to take care of his daughter or no?
He told me that's where all of his money was going. He said he was giving it all to his mom to pay her bills and take care of his daughter, etc. And he didn't want to help pay our bills or anything like that because he didn't want
to. You guys are married, living together, and he's not helping pay nothing?
No. He bought burritos and stuff.
We're going to have to change his name to the Bummer. Oh, man.
Yeah, I didn't see all that money. And he spent a lot of money on his Jordans and his clothes. I think that's
for his image on YouTube, though.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So, did he ever tell you he was addicted to drugs at any time in his life or anything?
No, he never told me any of that. He did say, he would talk crap on his, daughter's mom, etc. But he never claimed to be into anything like that ever.
Okay. Did he ever say why he left California to Oregon?
He said that he left California to Oregon because he had 2 strikes.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. That he didn't want to be in California because he didn't want to get a 3rd strike.
That's crazy. I got 2 strikes myself, but I can see why people would do that if that was true. But they changed the 3 strikes law. So now, like for the 3 strikes, it's got to be a serious violent offense to be struck out. And there's only like a few charges that actually carry that serious violent offense.
Yeah, I don't know
about it. CDC, they'll resent it. Like,
for me, I was just pretty vulnerable, and he took advantage of my vulnerability. you know?
You got catfished on the dating website.
Yeah. No, not necessarily by his looks, because obviously he showed up and he was who he showed he was, but catfished in other ways. I mean, a little bit catfished by his looks because, just like a lot of guys on dating websites, the pictures that he used, while they were pictures of him, they were pictures of him from like years prior, not recent pictures of him.
Yeah. Johnny V said, has he ever put hands on her?
Just one time. One time. Yeah. Although, we were only living together for a few months, if we were living together for years and years, who knows how many times that could have been.
Okay.
And a lot of situations,
out of nowhere, you weren't expecting it, and all of a sudden he just hit you. And was it like a long argument or just something you weren't ready for? Hit you out of nowhere?
Home, and we weren't arguing or fighting or anything, and he was just saying something really weird and off the wall. And so I had asked him if he was on meth, and he just welled off and punched me like in the face, and I fell backwards onto the bed. And he later told me that the reason why he did that was because he had received a random text message from an ex-boyfriend of mine, which I wasn't even aware that he had received a text message like that and hadn't talked to that ex-boyfriend. So You know, it would have surely helped had he explained that to me maybe before saying some weird random off the wall stuff.
Yeah.
But because he was just saying weird off the wall stuff, I was wondering where the hell this was coming from. And
you could tell he was on one.
Huh?
You could tell he was on one.
I just didn't know what the hell he was talking about. So I just legitimately asked, you know, innocently, like, are you using something? Because, you know, I had been with a tweaker before, so it sounded familiar to me.
Yeah. Somebody had asked, they said, did he claim that? So what was the incident he said when he was 9 with his stepdad?
He just told me that his stepdad was abusive to his mom. So when he was 9 years old, he had shot and killed him, and he got away with it because they just seen him as a scared little 9-year-old boy.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
That's all he said.
He never really talked about his real dad or nothing like that?
Nope, never.
Okay. Man. So, what else was I going to ask? Because I met his mom and his real dad, or mom and his stepdad and stuff. They came down to our house before. It was like 2 summers ago or whatever, and he came down and he was cool. Me and him got along good. He liked the house and was checking out my truck and stuff, and he was telling me stories about he would have to go out back and clean up the backyard before he could let his granddaughter go out and play, because every time you go out there, there'd be syringes laying around the little outhouse back there or whatever it was. And he didn't want her to get a hold of one of them. And he was saying it was the homeless throwing them over the fence.
Yeah. Because the homeless just chose to hang out right there in that one spot right there next to the fence.
The same spot where Runner had a place where Runner was staying.
Huh?
Wasn't he staying back there in that little like guest house or whatever it was back there?
Yeah. It was like a little mini house. It was like the size of like a little shed, but it was like a little mini house. I never was inside of there, but I seen pictures of inside of there, and there was like, you know, he would send me pictures when he was in there, and there was like a little bed, a little sink, you know, a little like shelf. He had his little like deodorants and colognes and things like all stacked up there like he was in prison, you know, all organized. And he said he preferred staying in there. He said that he was used to living like that from being in prison for so long, that he was institutionalized, and that's how he enjoyed having things, was living in that little house like that. You know, I actually posted a picture on my channel on the videos that I made of him. At the end, there's actually a picture from inside that little house that shows a picture of me and him that he had like displayed in there on a little shelf, you know. But after he had to move out to please his mom.
That's crazy. Makes all that money, but never has his own place.
Yeah, and you know, I didn't really
mom or living with his sister or.
If you make such good money, why did you live with your mom, you know, and all that? Like, why didn't you just have your own apartment or your own place? And he said that it was to help his mom out, to help his mom pay.
John Doe said, did he have a collection of knives since he can't fight?
No. No. And the only thing he had a collection of was Jordans, you know, and jerseys.
Oh, man, that's crazy. I seen another little video. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Oh, no, my phone's going to die. There was another little video I watched. I don't remember what it was, though. So how's your YouTube channel going?
It's going good. Like I said, it's difficult to make a lot of videos and stuff. You know, just because my schedule is so busy. But you know, I have a lot of plans for it. We're talking about a lot of very important topics, a lot of mental health topics, things that I personally experience, and just a lot of childhood, you know, how different things affect a child. child abuse stuff, how that affects a child in the long run, all different kinds of child abuse, child custody battles, what that's like for a child, because I've personally experienced that myself as a child, just different things I experienced myself because I've experienced a lot. Also, I plan on interviewing a couple of current inmates myself. One specifically that is in CDCR right now, just about their experiences and, you know, what CDCR is like currently, what goes on in there kind of right now. I plan on interviewing a bunch of people that, you know, have experienced the foster care system and what that kind of is like, and, you know, different things themselves as well, domestic violence and stuff like that. Those are the types of things that I plan on talking about. There is one story in particularly that I plan on covering. It's a very high profile case where there has been Netflix shows made about it, etc. This particular person is about to put out the true story straight from their mouth, their childhood, their life, all the way leading up to their crime, etc., and what they've done since they've been in prison for the last 12 years. They are currently serving life without parole. We're facing the death penalty. It'll be a very long interview and will definitely have to be a series. So I'm looking forward to that. I am not permitted to put out their name at this time, but you know, it's gonna be great.
Hey, here's a question. So were you around at the time when he did that little charity scam?
What's that?
Because I had heard that he did like some little fake charity thing where he donated or collected a bunch of money that was supposed to go to charity and kept it.
Oh, are you talking about like the boxing match that was on pay-per-view?
I'm not sure. I remember seeing a bunch of stuff about it.
Shortly after we split up, I was still living in Oregon. He had became YouTube famous. There was a boxing match that he did on pay-per-view. Me and him were still occasionally communicating, but we were not together. And it was supposed to be like him against some South Side dude. You paid $20 to watch it on pay-per-view and everything, and it was supposed to be donated and all that. You know, they did sell like sweaters and t-shirts and things like that as well. I myself even bought a sweater and a couple t-shirts from that boxing match and even paid to watch it on pay-per-view. Oh, you're supporting me, blah, blah. No, I wanted to watch him get punched. That's what I wanted to watch. I wanted to watch him get punched. But I was highly disappointed, as I think many people were, because it turned out that the boxing match, they were wearing sparring gear. So that was super lame. The other dude was, I think Gunner was, you know, bigger, probably had more power behind his hits, but the other dude who was smaller definitely got more hits in. I think that, you know, he would have been the winner had they not had any sparring gear on. But at the end of the match, you know, they called it a draw or whatever you want to call it. Nobody won, you know, it's all about uniting La Raza, blah, blah, blah. Supposedly they made a bunch of money off of it. And eventually people were like, you know, where the heck did all this money go? So on and so forth, you know, and they claimed that it went to charity, but, you know, supposedly, you know, he was buying things and so on and so forth. So, yeah, a lot of people believe that he spent it on other things, you know, and I believe he did too, you know. I don't believe it was given to charity. I think that boxing match was a whole waste of money for a lot of people, including myself, who didn't even get to watch him get punched. And you know, but I wasn't with him at the time, but yeah, I did see that.
So when when you were with him, was he friends with that dude Flacco?
Yeah.
I had heard a couple different stories about it that he was lying to people saying that he wasn't fucking with Flacco or whatever.
They were friends.
From what I heard, that I had heard that Flacco, there was paperwork on Flacco, and people jammed up
and I guess
over the paperwork, and he said, "Oh, I don't fuck with that dude."
When you know, I was working with Triple OG a year ago, you know, a lot of people were wanting to interview me or wanting me to start my own YouTube channel and so on and so forth. I had people coming to me on my Instagram and different things, and Flacco himself had came to me asking me about interviewing or helping him, etc. We had a little conversation where he had stated that him and Gunner were friends at one point, and then Gunner did him dirty and, you know, caused him a bunch of problems in his marriage and all sorts of stuff. And he really wanted to, you know, destroy him because of, you know, he had kind of ruined his life, or he felt that he had. And so I don't really know like the whole story, but I just know that he felt that they had been friends and Gunner had caused him a bunch of problems in his marriage and in his life and ruined things for him.
Yeah, I'd seen something about Gunner had cash apped his wife some money or something. And Flacco was like, you cash apped it to me. But that's crazy though. So Gunner had dropped Flacco's address, didn't he?
I have no idea.
Because I've heard from a couple other people that he had like dropped their address, like full address in a community post, which I could believe because he tried to inadvertently drop our address.
I mean, I'm not doubting it at all. I know that when he started this YouTube channel, his name and address and all that got dropped, along with his family's names and addresses and phone numbers and all sorts of stuff got dropped, you know, pictures of his mom's house, all that stuff. And I had his sister was messaging me and she's like, you know, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. And I told her, I'm like, you know, I'm like, this is serious shit, you know, because I've been on the internet for a long time, like, you know, on other platforms, some platforms that are on the darker side of the internet. And I've seen a lot of stuff. And I tried to tell her, you know, this is serious shit. Like, I tried to tell her some of the things, you know, people can do with that kind of information. They can take that kind of information and they can do a whole lot with that, you know.
Oh, yeah,
and
that
doesn't just put him at risk, but that puts her entire family at risk.
Yeah.
Know? And
well, yeah, if you're in bad standings and hiding and shit like that and doing content on what you shouldn't be, then
I mean, they can take that information, they can just drop that on the dark web, and anybody can do anything with that. You know, it's not fun and games. And you know, I had this conversation with her, and she was scared to death. You know, she's like, "Oh my God, what can we do? How can we get him to stop this YouTube channel? I can't convince him to stop. How can I protect my family?" You know, she was terrified, and she wanted him to stop, and under no circumstance would he stop his YouTube channel, you know?
He had dropped our address, like tried to inadvertently drop my address and my daughter's school. So I did a live and I went and I showed the street sign, like, that fool never lived right here. And then I showed my house. So I walked around the block.
And even after that, you know, after that was when I get the message from him on my Instagram. They're after me. They're trying to kill me, blah, blah. I was like, what are you talking about? People have YouTube, you know?
So hold on. So did he ever tell you the story about the pizza delivery guy showing up? I had heard a story that he got all paranoid and made everybody get in the car and take off, and they didn't know where they were going to go. And
no, he had
they got a motel room, and everybody was
I don't have the communication with him at that time. We haven't had any communication at all between us for over 3 years.
Yeah. That's probably better that way. Okay.
Yeah,
Had to get.
I mean, that's definitely better.
Yeah. Let me see. This dude said, Leonard has one ball, yellow teeth, and a 5-inch pecker. What the hell? Yeah. Let's see. So besides saying that he was NF, he never really told you about where he had been at in California prisons or nothing, huh?
No.
Did he ever say how much time he got for being part of that murder?
Like a lot of years. I don't really recall, but it was a lot of years.
Okay. Somebody said, is your channel called Live with Nugz?
It's just called Nacho Nugz. If you type in at Nacho Nugz.
Okay. So everybody go check out at Nacho Nugz whenever you got time. Show her some support. Hit the subscribe button for her. Help her get going.
Yeah, it's definitely you know, I do have one video on there that tells the story of, you know, how we started, how it was short-lived, how it ended, blah blah blah. Other than that, that is and will be the only video based on him. Everything else is got nothing to do with him.
Should have did a little series like from the time you met to the time you left, like your little life experience with the so-called YouTube superstar.
What I decided I wanted to do my YouTube channel on, you know, really was nothing to do with him, obviously. Yeah. But due to the fact that, you know, the original subscribers that I have were ones that were acquired basically a year ago when I was helping out Triple OG, etc. I knew that there were people who wanted to hear that story. Figured I would obviously just knock that story out the way, you know, and answer all those questions and then move on with, you know, my goal and what I'm trying to accomplish and trying to do, you know.
Yeah. All right. Oh man, it's been a long day.
One of your puppies. Too bad you can't ship it out this way. I tried. So I have you know, a very large snake. I have 2 snakes, but one of them is very large. And my friend who passed away lived in West Virginia and had her sister. And I was trying to get her sister shipped here from West Virginia. And it was like $800 to ship that snake here. And I was like, yeah, never mind. Like, never mind, you know?
We had a python I had got from somebody for a little while. It was like 3.5, 4 foot long. But I think I had fucked up because I had decided to feed it in the tank because I didn't really like taking it out too much because I don't know, it seemed like it would look at me weird. So I started feeding it in the tank, and then one day I grabbed it and I was pulling it out, and I had it like probably like 1.5 feet from the lid area, and it like turned real quick, like looking at me, and I ended up throwing it into the tank. And after that, I gave it away. I was like,
I had somebody tell me that it'd be really cool to do some like YouTube shorts with my snakes eating, you know, so I might put a couple of those out there. You know, it is kind of cool to watch them eat. That's my favorite thing. I love watching them, you know.
How big are your snakes?
All of them. So my biggest one, she's a Colombian red-tailed boa, and she is about 7 foot long. When she's full grown, she will be 12 to 15 feet long. Right now, she's only about 6 years old. And then I have an extreme pastel ball python. She is about 4 years old, and she is like 3 feet long.
Never get bit?
I've been bit. I used to have a rainbow boa. He was a male. He was still kind of a baby, but he bit everybody. You know, he was always biting. And then My Colombian red tail boa, the big one, she bit me one time, but I think she just kind of nipped at me, and it just happened so fast I didn't really even feel it, but I could see the bite on my arm. And the extreme pastel ball python, she's bit before. She hasn't bit me, but she's bit once before when she was brand new. But I, again, I'd rather be bit by a snake any day than be bit by a rat, because they don't even have fangs. Because that's not how they kill their prey. They're constrictors. So, it doesn't really
I think
hurt.
I messed up because I was outside at the kennels with the dogs, and I was messing with the dogs, and then I went in and I ended up pulling out the snake. So it probably smelled the dog on my arms because I didn't wash my hands. So I just went in and grabbed her.
Yeah.
And she turned fast, like looked at me all crazy. And I was like,
I'd rather be bit by a snake than be bit by a dog.
Yeah.
I have a son that was attacked by a Rottweiler who had just had puppies, and her puppies were getting their tails docked, and then we were taking the puppies into the mom, to comfort them after they were getting their tails docked. And the mom was in the room, by herself, comforting the puppies. And my son had walked in the room randomly. And, normally she was a really good dog, but she attacked his face, and, that was really bad. So I would much rather be bit by a snake than a Rottweiler or any kind of dog.
Yeah. Did they put it down?
No, they didn't. I just, I took him to the hospital. It bit his face, but like really close to his eye, like right here.
Yeah.
And, but she was actually, like I said, she was a really good dog. It's just, she was protecting her puppies. She just had puppies. Her puppies were injured, and stuff. And he just happened to walk in the room. So they didn't put her down. They just made sure that he had, make sure that he had a shot and everything and was okay. And he had to have a couple stitches. And he still got scars from it. But yeah, it was scary. It was scary for sure.
If my dog's ever even like snapped at one of the kids, it'd be a bad day for him. One of my buddies, he was breeding pits also at the same time as me. And his male was in the house, and he was at work, and his lady was there with his stepson, and his pit started going into heat, and his son went to like out in the backyard for something, like push the dog out of the way, and the dog turned and bit him in the ribs, and he didn't put him down, which he should have. He should have put the dog down the first time it bit a kid or anybody really, unless it was like called for. But then like a month and a half later, his other dog went in heat, and it was the same dog, the same male. Yeah, he put the male in the house, and his son went into the kitchen, and the dog locked onto his face. We ended up having to put it down.
When I was growing up, we used to have a chow, and they're really good dogs, but they're not really good for kids.
Yeah, chows are biters.
Yeah,
Chows, Doberman, all those.
And my aunt had told, it's awesome, buddy. My aunt had told my my uncle's grandkid that to not like to leave the chow alone, but she backed it in a corner because she was really just wanting to pet it and all that stuff. And the chow attacked his granddaughter in the face and had to be put to sleep. But in all honesty, some dogs just are not kid dogs.
Well, even ones that are, like, if they're not raised right, because my uncle's wife, she had a golden retriever, and when my other daughter just started walking, she had stumbled and like put her hand out to try not to fall, and she hit the back of the golden retriever, and it turned and bit her in the face. But yeah, before the ambulance was even able to show up, we had already put the dog down. Let me see. DJ XIX said Runner and Dub's gonna throw some Diddy parties together. Well, then see which one wakes up first with the sore ass.
Well, it would probably be Gunner with the sore ass, because we both know that.
Yeah, we know he's the bottom.
Little peepees can't give you a sore ass. So his ass will be just fine.
Yeah. It'd be like that Chemo's Flicks where it's got the two of them in the bathtub and the Gunnerz in the front.
That's funny.
All right, Nugz.
Yeah.
I know you got your family stuff to do. I just wanted to bring you on so we can talk for a few, so you can talk about your channel and throw some slander out there on the runner.
Hey, I'm not really trying to slander anything.
Well,
I'm like all truth over.
What I keep telling people is it's the truth. The truth isn't slander.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, I'll put it all out there.
Yeah.
But no,
all right. So
having me on here.
We'll have everybody check out your channel.
Do it anytime.
And,
about
other you get going.
Talk about that all the time.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to bring you on because people have been asking, like, when you guys do some more Gunner slander. I'm like, it's not slander if it's true. So.
Yeah, it's YouTube. They like it. They like the drama. I mean, entertainment, right?
Yeah.
Entertainment's entertainment.
Yeah. Plus, I wanted to just put some of the truth out there about his channel and how he's a good storyteller. He's good at entertainment, but people got to realize that everything he's saying is not true.
And I think, honestly, I think that's why he's maintained a lot of the followers that he's maintained is just because they like the entertainment part of him, They're like, oh, he's a good storyteller, he's entertaining, or he's funny or whatever. And that's all great, but I'm not super entertaining or whatever, but at least I know I'm not fake too.
Yeah. That's why I try to keep it to my content to stuff that I've seen firsthand or experienced firsthand in my life and not going out like he said.
Like if I've experienced it firsthand, I've been part of it, etc., then I'm putting that out there. But I'm not going to put something out there that I personally don't know for a fact.
Oh, do you know the character Ricky that he talks about all the time, right? Somebody said is the Ricky he portrayed his cousin Ricky that's from Winton.
I don't know anything about any of his family, really.
Because, I know that from what I heard from people that know Ricky, they said that Ricky was gay because he was in a relationship with a transvestite. And that whenever anybody would go by there, that Ricky would get all paranoid and hide his red rag.
Yeah.
What about he never told you any of his like Pepe stories or nothing like that?
No. The only stories he really told me was obviously I asked him about like his kids' moms. When I found out that he had 4 kids, of course. I asked him about his kids' moms. So he told me little stories about them or whatever. Told me how his oldest daughter was a Southsider. And
did he good on his ex-baby moms or no?
Not exactly. He told me how the first one kind of, I guess, disappeared on him or some crazy shit like that. I don't know if I necessarily believe that because he seems to be the master ghoster.
Somebody said that Ricky wasn't gay, his boyfriend Juan was.
But I don't really think that, he had any room to talk shit on any of his baby's moms. It sounds like, his history ain't so great itself,
Yeah.
And in the end, like, we all have a past, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So one last question. So when you were with him, like his other baby moms, he never talked to him or nothing when he was there?
No.
Or just his youngest girl?
So supposedly his youngest daughter's mom When she had reached out to me, like later on, you know, which was after he went to live in his mom's backyard and all that stuff, she told me that on his youngest daughter's birthday, he ghosted them. And he ghosted them because they were in a relationship. He ghosted them when he came to meet me, and they had not had any communication. He said that she wouldn't let him see his daughter and anything after that. But once he went to live in his mom's backyard and went to stay with the sister and all that, eventually she let him see his youngest daughter. I believe that, you know, he then started to have an affair and started sleeping with her again and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, he told me that stuff about her, that, you know, she was crazy. She wanted to be with him, but he didn't have feelings for her like that, blah, blah, blah. You know, I don't know. Just told me different things about each person. But according to his sister, he was telling them things, telling me things, you know. He was just bullshitting people all the way around.
Paint the picture as him being the good guy in all of it.
Yeah.
So,
he was basically convincing everybody that he was the good guy in all of it, convincing me that his family was super horrible and nasty, and he was just the good guy, and convincing them that, you know,
so you're saying how the family was all crazy and he wasn't?
Crazy and he was a good guy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard a lot of different stories. I know there were at some point they were saying that his mom was suffering from mental illness or something, and that his daughter wasn't supposed to be at the house. And then I heard another story, and just all sorts of different ones. But I had heard that his oldest daughter too, that he used to put hands on her. But I don't know how much truth there is to that. I know he's got a past to putting his hands on all of his exes, though.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, you know, they say if they do it once, they'll do it again. So had I been around for years and years, I'm sure it would have happened again.
Nick said, "All I want is paperwork, brother. If it's not there, we got the paperwork. That's not a problem, Nick. It's just at this time right now, it can't be put out there because the paperwork's. If we do something like that, we could jeopardize people's safety." But somebody in the comments had said, "Nick, what you want proof of? Ask away." But I was trying to avoid that stuff because I know I didn't really want to get into the whole stuff with his daughters and stuff because of the ongoing case and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I know his mom was pretty controlling.
Yeah, I know that you know, she wasn't happy that he moved out. She definitely wasn't happy when she found out that he got married. You know, every time that he would call, I could hear her screaming on the phone in his ear. She said, you know, you wanted to be with the girl with tattoos on her face. Why didn't you just stay with Juana? You know, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, she's white with tattoos on her face. Got to be a hooker or a heroin.
Your mom was saying, "Why don't you stay with my lady?"
Yeah. She must be a hooker, a heroin addict, so on and so forth. You know, she said, you know, why'd you have to marry her? Couldn't you just F her on the weekends? You know, like, you think I'm ever going to like this girl? I'm never going to like her. I'm never going to accept her. She's never going to be part of our family. I'm going to make your life miserable as long as you choose to be with her, so on and so forth. You know, she was screaming at him. No matter what he said to her, she just wasn't having it, you know, and she canceled his bar.
Wasn't there one time when he was like, I'm tired of having my daughter. I just want to come with you and get rid of her or whatever.
Well, she canceled his car insurance. You know, she definitely caused all the problems that she could with his daughter. She tried to make him lose his job and everything. And so, yeah, like as he was, you know, staying with his sister, with his daughter and stuff like that, he would try to come spend a night with me or something and have his sister babysit and stuff like that. But, they didn't want to babysit all the time either,
Yeah.
So, eventually, he had sent me a message at one point in time saying, because I'm like, are we going to work this out? Are we going to be together? Like, what's going on? Like, we can't be married and not be together, like you need to do something. And, he's like, I want to be with you and I want to work this out, but I just got to get everything figured out with, my mom and with, my daughter and blah, blah. And he's like, I'm honestly just tired of all this drama, with my daughter and everything that's going on and so on and so forth,
Yeah. Yeah. See, what I don't get is why she was talking about like the face tats and stuff, because my lady didn't have face tats when she was with him. Because I was the one, I did the face tats on her.
Why she was concerned about tattoos in the first place. He had more tattoos than I had. Just because he didn't have them on his face don't mean he didn't have more than I had.
Yeah.
Oh,
that was another question. So were you around when any like CPS reports were made or anything like that on him? Or on the family, like involved?
I personally made the CPS report with the mom or the mom's husband, his stepdad, pulling the shotgun to his head in front of his daughter. I made that report myself.
That one was logged as founded.
And in return, his mom was upset and she made the report about him punching his daughter in the stomach. So because of that,
that one was found as founded also.
Because of that, his daughter could not come to our house because he had to be investigated as well.
And she couldn't be at their house because of the step grandpa.
Correct. She was never supposed to go back there at all unless the step grandpa was no longer there.
Yeah, I think at that time the CPS was trying to like locate my lady, but he was lying to him, saying that she was homeless in Merced and didn't know how to get hold of her. Or not Merced.
If there is any state involvement like that,
Modesto, homeless in Modesto.
Other parents, no matter what.
Yeah. They said that they were trying to find her, but he was saying that she was homeless in Modesto on the streets and shit. She's never lived in Modesto.
So at that time, when they were taken from the grandmother's house and, they couldn't come with us because they had to investigate him as well. She was actually in the care of his sister, at his sister's house early. The grandmother, later retracted the statement about him punching his daughter in the stomach. So
I seen the reports too, and it didn't say that the grandmother had said that. It said that the child had said that, but I guess she told the police, and she told the CPS reporter that she told the police that her dad had punched her in the stomach, but they never. I don't know, for some reason, like people don't listen to the kids.
The actual reports, but he had came home and told me that the reason that she could not come to our house was because his mom had made those allegations towards him. So, maybe he was told that when in fact it was his daughter that made those reports towards him, or maybe he didn't want me to know that it was his daughter that made those reports towards him,
Yeah.
Because that's just what I was told by him, was that his mother had made those allegations.
See, what I don't get is all these videos that he makes, and he has Dubs trying to like co-sign for him and run damage control. Not once has he ever got on the camera and said, "Hey, I've never abused my daughter, or I've never hit my daughter." Not one time has he done that. It's always somebody else trying to do damage control for him, speaking about how he's such a good guy and trying to shift focus to everybody else about stuff instead of getting on the screen and be like, look, maybe she took it the wrong way. Maybe she took it like that, but that's not what really happened. He's never tried to deny it or even say, hey, I've never hit my daughter.
Because in order to do that, you would have to even acknowledge what's being said in the first place. And as I said, you know, every time I've commented on anything in his lives, in his, you know, videos, anything, he just doesn't even acknowledge its existence in the first place. For
Yeah, I
him,
commented one time
for
and
him
he
rather just
deleted
not
out my comment.
and rather just move on to something else, you know, as
Yeah.
if it exists.
Well, it's only a matter of time. As soon as like everything's over with, all the paperwork will be out there for everybody to see, because it's just right now that it can't.
Yeah.
So it's just pretty much like a waiting game. As soon as everything's over with, it'll be all out there.
Yeah. Truth gets out there eventually.
Yeah, what people need to understand though is like when you're telling the truth and speaking from the heart, you don't need people to constantly try to do damage control for you and co-sign for you and shit like that. That's all shit that people that's lying just got to do to protect their image.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's okay. You know, some of us are in this for the truth, and some of us are in this for the paycheck.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you know, I mean,
Mine was just started because I didn't like the fact that he put out the video trying to lie and then try to like talk shit to us. I was like, fuck that. Like, I'll let the line go, but when you start trying to like talk shit on my lady and shit like that, like, nah. Like, come on, that's some pussy shit. Like,
well, also, I mean, that's your lady, you know. So at the end of the day,
yeah.
that's your job to be defensive over that.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to defend your lady.
Well, yeah, and yeah, it just pissed me off because people were like, "Oh yeah, you guys got in the child's ear and shit like that." I'm like, "Come on now, what do we got to do that for? Like, there's no point in us lying about nothing." Like, and then they're like, "Oh, you're just after Gunner's money." Fuck, we want his money for? Like, the dude lives in a shack at his mom's house or on his sister's couch. We got our own house and everything else, and he can't even help try to pay bills when he lived with you. Like, the only one that that's gonna be able to get any money is gonna be Dubs and fucking butt baby support.
And even if he is making a shit ton of money right now, you know, at the end of the day, like, he ain't got no room to talk on anybody else because, you know, like you said, you know, he moved in with me and wasn't paying a single bill, you know, so,
Yeah.
you know.
Let me ask you this. I did a video earlier today on it about trolling, and because anytime anybody speaks on the runner or Dubs, they say that person's trolling or a J-cat or mentally ill. In your opinion, what's the difference from them speaking on all these people that they speak on in every single video and somebody speaking on them?
Well, that's not trolling. I mean, trolling is purposely trying to trigger or, you know, upset somebody to get a reaction out of them because you find it entertaining as fuck. You know,
so wouldn't trolling be like
however,
having to go into your comments while you're trying to do it live and just nonstop commenting some bullshit? And
speaking the truth about somebody is not trolling. You know,
yeah.
purposely trying to agitate or trigger them for your entertainment purposes, that is trolling.
Yeah. Well, I put out a couple of videos, like, knowing that with the intention that, like, okay, I'm gonna put out this video, which is on my end, it's truth, but I know that it's gonna piss them off.
Yeah, but are you putting out the video to piss them off, or are you putting out the video because you're just trying to put the truth out there? Now, if you're putting out the video to purposely trigger them, yeah, then you might be trolling them a little. But if you're putting out the video because
I think it was like one of them was like a little bit of both, because Dubs was speaking on like on a topic that I felt he shouldn't. And he was basically like trying to call the NLR weak and stuff like that. So I ended up doing a video on it, letting him know, like, from my experience in prison, those are dangerous, violent dudes. And he was trying to say that like basically they were like nobodies, that they didn't do nothing. So I did a video, but I had aimed the video at Dubs when I was doing it, and telling him that he was full of shit and he was playing with fire, because those are dangerous dudes. So I guess in a way it was mostly for truth, but I had to throw a few jabs out there at him, just like they do to everybody else.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I spent a lot of time on other platforms, and those other platforms, pretty much everybody that I knew or have been friends with for years are trolls and stuff. And a troll's major, their goal is just to do whatever it takes to trigger, upset the other person, agitate the other person for entertainment purposes only. I don't believe that your videos are purposely just to trigger, agitate them.
No, mine are more to pick out the lies that they put out there that I know are lies, and I could put the facts out there or the truth to it. More or less to show people like, come on, the truth's right in front of your eyes. If you can't see it, then I don't know what else to tell you.
Right. So that's not trolling. Now, people coming into your comments, purposely saying smart ass remarks just to try to upset you or push your button, etc., that's trolling. You know?
Well, now, like anybody that does that, I've already said, like, along with a couple of other content creators, we're just deleting, we're then block them out permanently.
Mm-hmm.
No,
yeah, I don't.
Time having to. I don't answer people's comments, and you're reading a whole bunch of bullshit.
I don't know exactly how to work YouTube or anything like that too much. I do know that on the other platforms that I've spent my time on, a lot of times it doesn't even do a whole lot of good to, block or kick out trolls, etc., because they just got like 1 million accounts anyways, and they're just gonna keep coming back. You feel me? So
sometimes it's good because the algorithm doesn't know the difference between a good comment and a bad comment. It just sees comments and it helps out the channel, really. But
like my time, trying to kick people out like that, like, nah, what I mean? Like, I just let them fill my shit up,
Like, bring
up
like that promote shit that I seen some shit on YouTube where it said promote your video like $200 and you get like 1,500 subscribers or 30,000 views. I'm like, I'd rather mine take a little bit longer, but at least I know like all my subscribers are there because of me, and like all the views I get is actually like real viewers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't see any point in buying subscribers. I mean, I realize that it may take me more time to build up the subscribers, etc., especially where I don't get to put out a lot of content very fast.
Yeah.
But it'll get there eventually, slowly, really.
Yeah. Well, we'll try to help out, get people over there to check out your channel and stuff. And then we'll get you back on for another live one of these times. When my lady's not busy, we'll get her on here too, so that she can be on here with us. See who else we can get on too.
The more you get around, don't stick to the same, the same circles, but you get around to different circles and stuff like that, the better.
Yeah, because when I was looking at that, I could put like 6 people on at a time. So that's see who else we can get going and try to get a few on here.
All the people, all their people, all your people, I come here on your channel and go live with you. You come over on mine, go live with me, etc. You have 6 people at a time. Everybody's people sees everybody's people, and
it gets everybody to know the other people too that wouldn't normally go to your channel. So
yeah, exactly. That's what you go to different channels, different things. Don't just stick to the same circles. That's how it works. On all platforms, that's how it works. Networking.
All right. Well, we'll have to set up a time to do another live, and we'll see who we can get on here.
For sure.
When you got your family and stuff that's probably waiting when you then go out, get offline and go out there. I'm ready to go inside too. I'm tired. It's been a long day.
Okay. You have a good night.
Hey, you too. Thank you for coming on the channel.
You too. Bye.
All right, everybody. Check out her channel when you guys get time. Subscribe, like, give her a chance. You could always ask her some more questions that you want to know. See if she'll answer. I'm sure she will. All right, you guys all have a good night.